Hey everyone, in this video I'm going to show you how to manipulate text and use text filters here in Xano. So I'm just going to go over a super simple example, but it should give you the framework of how to utilize this within your application or your project. So I just created a custom function for me to play around with and for me to show you these text examples with. So I'm just going to go into this function stack and hit plus. And if I go into data manipulation, there's this text option right here. So just a quick glance at this, we have append and prepend to add text either before or after an existing variable. We have trim, which trims characters on both sides of the variable. Left trim, which just trims the left side. Right trim, just the right side. And then we have this starts with, ends with, and contains options, which will be really useful if you're going to use conditionals at all. So now I'm going to hit back and I'm actually going to go to data manipulation, but I'm going to create a variable for us to work with. And I'll call var1, I'll just have the text say hello world and I'll hit save. And if I go and run this, we'll see the result will be that text hello world that I just typed in. So now let's manipulate this a little bit. So if I go into my function stack and hit data manipulation and go to text, I can actually add some text before hello world. So if I do prepend and I click on var1, let's say I want a bunch of x's to go before. Okay, so I'll go ahead and hit save. And when I run this, we'll see there's all these x's before hello world. So that's kind of prepend, and you can imagine append is just the opposite. Let's say I want to get rid of that though. I can go into my function stack, into data manipulation, and then into text. And then I can either use trim or left trim to get rid of these x's because there's no x's after hello world, right? So if I go ahead and click left trim and click on variable 1, and then all I have to do is type 1x here, hit save, and when I run this, this will actually get rid of all those x's that were at the beginning of my variable. Okay, so next I'm going to show you how to use the filter feature a little bit to manipulate text. So I'm going to go back into my function stack, data manipulation, and I'm going to update this var1. So I'm going to choose existing variable var1, and then the value to update it is by itself. And now I'm just going to go to add filter right here, and then choose a filter, and I'm going to scroll over to text, and we have all these different filter options. So we have a concatenate, capitalize, we do index, the same ones you've seen in the data manipulation, also split. So all these different options, I definitely recommend you check out the documentation for more information. There's also little descriptors underneath each of them to kind of tell you what they are a little bit. It's pretty straightforward. So let's say I want to concatenate and add something here. So I can click on concatenate, and the value might be hello world, and I might do from Xano. And then we have this separator option here. So I could just put a space, but it's a little easier to tell if I put in, say, a plus button, and I'll go ahead and hit update, and then I'll save that. And when I go and run and debug this, and it'll say hello world plus from Xano, and I just use that plus button again as a more obvious separator to stand out. Okay, now if I exit out of this, go back into my function stack, into data manipulation, and back into text, we see these starts with, ends with, contains, and we have this case insensitive or case sensitive option. So if I do starts with, case insensitive here, this window will open up, and I'll go ahead and choose that var1, and the value will be h, I'll say. And then I have to give the result variable a name, so I might just call it var1 result and hit save. And now if I change my response to be that new var result that I just created and hit save and go ahead and run this, this is just going to come back with whether or not that variable started with that h, which is true. So as I said, those are really good to use with conditionals, which you can find in data manipulation and then conditional. So I would just make an if statement that if var1 result is true, and then add some then statements to that. But I'll go over conditionals in another video, so let's not worry about that right now. So this is kind of the long way, but there's also a basically shorter way to that. So if I go in create a variable, or more of a clean way is what I should say than a short way, and then I just type in new text here and say hi there. And let me go ahead and change this result to var2, and I'll hit save. And if I run this, we'll say it says hi there. So what I can do is I can just add filters like I did with Concatenate. So I'll go over, oh, it's already in text because Xano knows. And let's say that I want to make everything uppercase. Okay, I can go ahead and hit update and hit save. And then if I were to run that, then it would say hi there in all caps. And I can just keep adding onto this. And let's say I want to add a filter. Let's say that I want to do a replace. So instead of there, remember it's all caps now, maybe I just wanted to say, how are you? Question mark. So now we have, hi, how are you? So if I go ahead and hit save, and I run and debug this, we'll say we have hi in all caps, and then how are you? Question mark. So, that's just a little starter package for you guys to work with text and filtering text. Definitely encourage you to look into the documentation as well, figure out what your project and application's needs are, and then reach out to us if you have any questions about this stuff.